Mom hissed across the table, "You're just bitter because Sierra succeeded." I said, "Then ask her to return the $61,000 I gave you since college." Even Dad dropped his fork. I gripped my wine glass so hard my knuckles turned white, but I refused to let my mother see how deeply her words sliced through me. "Galina, you'll never be as good as your sister." The crystal chandelier above our heads catches the light, sending rainbows dancing across the ivory tablecloth as silence crashes down on our family dinner like a tidal wave. This is Natasha's promotion celebration dinner, the whole reason we're gathered around my parents' oak dining table on this humid Thursday evening in their suburban Dallas home. I rushed here straight from my 12-hour shift at the tech startup, barely having time to swap my wrinkled polo shirt for a clean blouse that still smells faintly of coffee and stress. "Mom," Natasha starts, but stops when our mother raises her perfectly manicured hand, the one wearing the sapphire bracelet I bought her for Mother's Day, the one she called lovely but not quite my taste before wearing it to every single one of Natasha's achievements. "It's just reality, dear. Your sister chose comfort over ambition. Nothing shameful about that, but we need to acknowledge facts." My father clears his throat, studying his plate of half-eaten pot roast like it holds the secrets of the universe. "Your mother's right, Galina. Natasha's on track to make partner before 35. Different life paths, that's all." I look at Natasha in her tailored navy blazer, her blonde hair pulled back in that effortless bun that somehow looks elegant even after a 14-hour day at the law firm. Then I glance at our mother, wearing the pearl earrings I saved 3 months to buy her, the ones she claimed were nice but not really my style, before donning them to every one of Natasha's events. Something inside me snaps like a rubber band stretched too far. 2 years of swallowed anger rises in my throat like bile. I stand abruptly, open my leather purse, and pull out the mortgage statement I've been carrying around for 4 days, waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment for this kind of truth. "I've been paying your bills for 2 years, I say, my voice surprisingly steady as I place the paper in the center of the table between the crystal salt shakers and Mom's prized centerpiece. "Including the mortgage on this house." My mother's green eyes widen for just a split second before her mask slides back into place. She waves her hand dismissively, that same gesture that's haunted my childhood, the one that makes my stomach clench like a fist. "That's what family does, Galina. Natasha needs to focus on building her career." The memory hits me like a freight train, Natasha's law school graduation 3 years ago. My parents surprised her with keys to a brand new silver BMW, complete with a giant red bow tied to the hood. Later that afternoon, they handed me a gift bag containing a coffee mug with my college logo printed in fading letters. "You're already established," Mom had explained when she caught my expression of barely concealed hurt. "Your sister needs our support more right now." Then came that first phone call 18 months ago, Dad's voice uncharacteristically hesitant, explaining what he called a temporary financial hiccup. "Just one mortgage payment," they promised. "Just until things got back on track." I touched the corner of the mortgage statement now lying exposed on the table like evidence at a crime scene. 18 months of payments isn't temporary help anymore, it's become my second rent. "Family supports each other," Mom says, her voice developing that sharp edge I know too well. "Why are you being so ungrateful about it?" I reach into my bag again, this time pulling out the thick manila folder I've been carrying like a shield. Inside are bank statements, transfer confirmations, cancelled checks, 18 months of financial bleeding organized in neat chronological order. "I've supported plenty," I say, my voice steadier than my trembling hands. "But I'm not your personal ATM anymore." My father's face turns the color of brick. "Your sister's at a critical juncture in her career." "And I'm at a critical juncture in my patience," I interrupt, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Natasha looks between us like she's watching a tennis match, confusion creasing her usually composed features. What exactly is happening right now? No one answers her question. My mother stares at me with narrowed eyes that could cut glass. My father studies the ceiling as if hoping for divine intervention. I stand in my parents' dining room, suddenly aware of everything I'm risking. These are my only family connections, the people who raised me, the sister I helped with homework and drove to dance lessons for 6 years. But looking at their faces, I see for the first time how they measure my worth. Not in love or shared memories or blood ties, but in dollars I can provide while staying conveniently invisible in the background. "I'll be taking a break from family dinners," I announce, gathering my purse with hands that barely shake now. "And family payments." My mother's face hardens into something I barely recognize, like stone carved by years of getting her way. You'll regret this, Galina. Family is all we have in this world. I pause in the doorway, feeling a strange weightlessness in my chest, like I've been holding my breath for years and finally remembered how to exhale. Then I guess I have nothing to lose. A whole week passes after that explosive dinner. Besides a few lukewarm text messages from Natasha, my parents don't contact me once. The silence feels both liberating and terrifying. Then, the following Thursday afternoon, my mother calls with that saccharine tone she uses when she wants something. She needs help organizing her tax paperwork, since you're so good with numbers, a backhanded compliment that acknowledges my skills while dismissing my career as glorified bookkeeping. I never intended to find what I discovered that day. As I sort through the chaotic mountain of documents scattered across her mahogany desk, a familiar name catches my eye. Mine. But not where it should be. I freeze, a student loan statement trembling in my hands. Not my statement, Natasha's. The words blur, then sharpen with horrifying clarity. Payment amount, $2,100. Transfer source, Galina Morrison's checking account. My fingers shake as I flip through more pages. Car payments. Credit card statements. Insurance premiums. My stomach twists into knots so tight I can barely breathe. These weren't emergency payments. These weren't temporary assistance. This was systematic. Planned. Expected. I hear footsteps echoing down the hallway and turn to see my mother in the doorway, her pearl necklace, my Christmas gift, gleaming against her cream-colored sweater. Did you find the property tax forms? She asks, then notices the papers clutched in my hands. Something flickers across her face, not guilt, but the annoyance of someone caught in an inconvenient truth. What is this? My voice sounds distant, like it's coming from someone else entirely. Dad appears behind her, his reading glasses perched on his graying head. Natasha stands in the hallway beyond them, thumbs dancing across her phone screen, barely glancing up from whatever urgent legal matter demands her attention. Galina, don't make a scene, Mom says, stepping into the office with that commanding presence she's perfected over decades of getting her way. Dad follows, both of them looming over me as I sit frozen in the leather desk chair. The evidence lies spread between us like a confession written in bank transfers and payment confirmations. You used my money to pay Natasha's student loans. I tap the statement with my index finger, leaving a small dent in the paper. $2,100 per month for 8 months. That's $16,800. Mom waves her hand in that infuriatingly dismissive gesture. You were helping the family. Natasha's loans were the most pressing concern. And her car payments? I hold up another statement, the numbers swimming before my eyes. $4,200 last year alone. Transportation is essential for her position, Dad says, adjusting his glasses with the authority of someone stating an obvious fact. She has client meetings across the city. The credit cards? I fan out the statements like playing cards. $11,000 in designer suits and client dinners. Professional appearance matters in corporate law, Mom replies without missing a beat, as if she's been rehearsing this justification for months. I look past them to Natasha, who finally pockets her phone with a shrug that could move mountains. I didn't ask for any of this. Mom said you were happy to help. The room suddenly feels suffocating, the walls closing in like a trap. 18 months of believing I was helping with temporary hardship, when all along I was funding Natasha's lifestyle upgrade. Natasha needs freedom to build her career, Dad continues, his tone suggesting I should understand this self-evident truth. You're already stable. Stable. Like a draft horse. Reliable. Boring. Useful. The practical daughter whose purpose is to support the star while remaining in the shadows. I push back from the desk, needing space to breathe. My own student loans aren't paid off yet. I've been putting every extra dollar toward hers instead of mine. That's different, Mom says with the confidence of someone who's never questioned her own logic. Your career path doesn't require the same level of presentation. The unspoken comparison hangs in the air like smoke. Software engineering versus corporate law. Back office versus boardroom. Invisible versus celebrated. Do you have any idea what this is doing to my financial future? I ask, finding strength in my voice I didn't know existed. If I keep supporting everyone else, I'll never have anything for myself. Mom blinks, genuinely puzzled by my concern, like I've just spoken in a foreign language. Family supports family, Galina. We've always taught you that principle. Then she brightens with a new thought that makes my blood run cold. Natasha's engagement party is coming up next month. Of course you'll help with that too. She deserves the perfect celebration. The casual assumption hits me like a physical blow. I grab the folder, flipping to a summary sheet where I've been tracking every payment. The total stares back at me in stark black ink, $61,000. $61,000. 18 months of mortgage payments, student loans, car payments, credit cards, insurance premiums. $61,000 spent supporting my family while they treated me like the unsuccessful daughter. I close the folder with trembling hands, finally understanding the full scope of what's been happening. All this time, I'd been enabling their favoritism by financing it. Later that afternoon, I show the evidence to my coworker and closest friend, Lillian. We sit in a corner booth at our usual coffee shop, lattes growing cold between us as she examines page after page of financial records. This isn't normal family support, Galina, she says finally, closing the folder and sliding it back across the scratched wooden table. This is exploitation. The word hits like a slap. Exploitation. Not help. Not family obligation. A deliberate taking advantage of someone's good nature and misplaced guilt. As I drive home that night, copies of the financial records tucked safely in my briefcase, I wrestle with an impossible choice. Should I cut off all financial support immediately and force my family to face reality? Or gradually reduce payments to give them time to adjust? The first option might shatter relationships beyond repair. The second means more months of financial strain for me, more delay in paying off my own debts, more time watching my savings dwindle while theirs grow. What do you do when the people who should love you unconditionally only seem to value what you can provide for them? The following Wednesday morning at work, my phone buzzes with the 7th call from my cousin this week. Apparently, my parents have organized some kind of family emergency meeting and expect my attendance. I silence the phone and slide it face down on my desk, watching the screen light up again almost immediately. The Henderson Family Crisis Management session is apparently all anyone can talk about. Avoiding someone? Lillian asks from her cubicle, eyebrow arched in amusement. My mother organized a family intervention without telling me, I reply, rubbing my temples where a headache is building. Now everyone wants me to fund some kind of family retreat. Lillian's eyes widen. The audacity, after everything else they've taken from you. I nod, opening my email to find 5 messages from aunts and uncles I haven't spoken to in months. Each contains subtle variations of the same request: the family needs help, and apparently, I'm the designated helper. Did you know about Natasha's engagement? I ask. No, but it's all over social media, Lillian says, turning her monitor toward me. Your mother tagged everyone except you. Natasha's radiant face fills the screen, a massive diamond ring prominently displayed on her left hand. The caption reads, "Planning the celebration of the century for my brilliant daughter. #blessed #proudmom." My stomach drops when I see the first comment, Amanda will help make it perfect, I'm sure. I've become the family bank, and now they're making promises on my behalf to their entire social circle. That evening, I curl up on my apartment couch with chamomile tea, scrolling through Facebook with the morbid curiosity of someone picking at a scab. My thumb freezes over a photo posted 6 weeks ago, my parents and Natasha grinning in front of the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas, cocktails raised in celebration. The timestamp shows it was taken during the weekend I worked overtime to cover an emergency property tax payment for their house. They went to Vegas with my money while telling me they couldn't make ends meet. Sleep becomes elusive in the days that follow. Night after night, I lie awake calculating numbers, how much I've given, how much they've asked for, how much I have left in my own accounts. The weight of financial anxiety presses against my chest until breathing becomes difficult. During team meetings at work, I catch myself drifting, thinking about the second notice on my own student loan payment while Natasha's loans are fully paid with my money. You look exhausted, my manager comments after I miss a deadline for the first time in 4 years. Everything okay? I'm fine, I lie, but the dark circles under my eyes tell a different story. I start keeping a detailed journal, every phone call, every request, every dollar transferred. The small leather notebook becomes my constant companion, documenting the pattern of manipulation that has shaped our family dynamic for years. The casual mentions of Natasha's accomplishments followed immediately by requests for money. The guilt trips when I hesitate. The celebration dinners I pay for but barely get acknowledged at. The evidence builds page by page, an undeniable record of systematic financial abuse disguised as family loyalty. One evening, as I'm leaving work late again, a familiar voice stops me cold. "Galina." I turn to see Uncle Pete standing by the elevator bank, his weathered face creased with genuine concern. "Uncle Pete," I say, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for you," he says simply. "You've missed the last 4 family gatherings." "That's not like you." I look down at my shoes, unsure how to explain without sounding like I'm making excuses. "I always thought you were the backbone of this family," he continues, his voice gentle. "Now I'm wondering if they've been taking advantage of that strength." His words hit with unexpected force, and I blink back sudden tears that have been building for weeks. "Want to get coffee and talk about it?" The following Saturday, I find myself standing in my parents' kitchen once again. Natasha sits at the granite counter flipping through bridal magazines while my mother circles venue options with a red pen, planning an engagement party that will cost more than I make in 3 months. "The country club deposit is due next week," my mother announces without looking up from her planning. "Natasha deserves the perfect celebration." Then, without any preamble or discussion, "You can cover the venue deposit next week." Not a question. Not a request. A statement of expectation. Something inside me snaps, a clean, decisive break like a bone that's been cracked for too long finally giving way. "I'm not paying another cent," I say, my voice steady as bedrock, "for anything." The kitchen goes silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Natasha's head jerks up from her magazine. My mother freezes, red pen hovering over the page like a weapon. "Don't be ridiculous," she finally says, but uncertainty flickers across her face for the first time in years. "I'm completely serious," I continue, finding power in the stillness of my own voice. "I've paid the mortgage, Natasha's loans, credit cards, car payments, insurance. I'm done." My mother's mouth opens and closes wordlessly as she searches for the manipulative words that have always worked before. But for the first time, I see her tactics clearly: the guilt, the comparisons, the subtle insults wrapped in motherly concern. "I've been financing my own mistreatment for 18 months. You can't just," she begins. "I can," I interrupt with quiet finality, "and I am." The next day, Lillian spreads financial projections across her dining room table, calculator in hand. "Without supporting them," she says, circling a number that makes my heart race, "you could pay off your student loans in 2 years instead of 8. The figure stares back at me, a future I hadn't dared to imagine. Uncle Pete calls that evening. "I spoke with your mother," he says without preamble. "She's not happy with your decision." "I know." "Good," he responds firmly. "Sometimes family needs to learn hard lessons about respect. I'm proud of you for setting boundaries." That night, I open my laptop and begin searching for job opportunities outside Dallas. Seattle catches my eye. Tech jobs with higher salaries, a fresh start 2,000 miles from Texas drama. I allow myself to imagine a life built around my own needs and dreams instead of my family's endless demands. The next morning, I request printouts of every bank transaction for the past 18 months. The clerk raises an eyebrow at the volume but complies without question. Hours later, I organize the mountain of papers chronologically, highlighting each payment to my parents in fluorescent yellow. Hidden among my father's financial documents, I discover a savings account statement I've never seen before, an account with a balance that contradicts every claim of financial hardship he's made. They've been hiding money while I've been draining my savings to support them. My phone rings just as this discovery sinks in. My mother's name flashes on the screen. "We're having an emergency family meeting tomorrow," she announces without greeting. "The mortgage payment didn't arrive on schedule." "I know," I say, feeling calmer than I have in years. "I told you I'm done paying for things." "This isn't a game, Galina," she snaps. "Be here at 7 sharp." I hang up and look at the evidence spread across my kitchen table, proof of years of manipulation and exploitation. For the first time in this whole mess, I hold all the cards. "I'll be there," I whisper to myself, with receipts. Tuesday evening after work, I arrive 15 minutes early for the family meeting, parking my Honda 3 houses down from my parents' colonial-style home. The weight of the 4-inch black binder on my passenger seat represents 18 months of financial drainage, meticulously organized by category and date. Uncle Pete's advice from our coffee conversation echoes in my head: don't let them control the narrative. The familiar scent of vanilla candles hits me as I enter without knocking, a privilege I've apparently lost the right to expect reciprocally. In the dining room, my parents sit at opposite ends of the table like judges awaiting a defendant. Natasha perches uncomfortably between them, scrolling through her phone with studied indifference. "You're early," Mom says, surprise flickering across her face before she composes herself into her usual mask of authority. I place the binder in the center of the table with a soft thud that draws everyone's attention like a magnet. I wanted to make sure we had enough time for full disclosure. Dad shifts uncomfortably in his chair. Time for what, exactly? I open the binder to the first tabbed section labeled Mortgage. The pages inside contain highlighted bank statements, transfer confirmations, and a running total that would make an accountant weep. Time to review everything I've paid for over the past 18 months. My voice sounds different, controlled, professional, unshakable. Let's start with housing. 24 mortgage payments at $1,847 each. That's $44,328. Mom's eyebrows shoot toward her hairline. That can't possibly be accurate. I flip to the next section with theatrical precision. Student loans. Natasha's, not mine. $16,800. Dad's face pales as he stares at the binder like it might explode. His fingers drum against the polished wood, a nervous tell I've never noticed before. Car payments for Natasha's BMW, I continue. Turning another page. Insurance, maintenance, registration fees. $4,200. Natasha's phone slips from her hands, clattering against the table. That's more than I make in 2 months. And finally, I say, flipping to the summary page with the grand total highlighted in neon yellow, credit cards, shopping, restaurants, and what you called professional expenses. $11,672. I pause, letting the silence build like pressure in a sealed container. The grand total is $61,000. Mom's lips press into a thin line that could cut paper. You're being dramatic. Half those payments were gifts. You offered to help. I have documentation for every single dollar. I pull out a manila envelope thick enough to choke a horse, containing copies of every check, every transfer receipt, every cancelled payment. The stack lands with satisfying weight beside the binder. Would you like to go through them chronologically? This is absurd, Dad mutters, but his eyes won't meet mine. Natasha reaches for the envelope with trembling fingers, rifling through evidence of her subsidized lifestyle. Her usual confidence evaporates as she stops at a credit card statement showing charges for designer interview suits. I had no idea it was this much, she whispers. Mom said you were happy to contribute, Natasha continues, looking up with confusion clouding her features. She said you wanted to help because you were making good money in tech and didn't have many expenses. Good money. My laugh sounds harsh even to my own ears. I still owe $23,000 on my own student loans. I've been putting off dental work because I couldn't afford it while paying for your financial freedom. When Natasha asks why I never told her the scope of my contributions, I hesitate. Should I explain that our parents swore me to secrecy to protect her confidence, or let her discover their manipulation organically? Before I can decide, the doorbell rings with perfect timing. We're in the middle of something, Mom says, rising with obvious irritation. That would be Uncle Pete, I announce. I asked him to join us. Dad's head snaps up like he's been slapped. Pete? Why would you? Uncle Pete's booming voice carries from the entryway as he lets himself in. Hope I'm not interrupting anything important. My mother's face hardens as her brother settles into the chair beside me. He nods toward the binder with approval. I see Galina's finally showing everyone the real numbers. You knew about this? Mom asks, betrayal sharp in her voice. I suspected, Uncle Pete says, his normally jovial tone turning serious. Family helps each other during genuine emergencies, not as a permanent financial arrangement. What you've been doing to Galina crosses every line. The silence that follows feels alive, electric with years of unspoken resentment finally given voice. My mother stares at her brother, then at me, realizing that her carefully constructed narrative is crumbling. I'm no longer isolated and manipulated. Jenna asked me yesterday why you never come to family events anymore, Natasha says quietly. She seemed worried, like she knew something was wrong between us. Your friends don't understand our family dynamics, Mom replies dismissively, but her voice lacks its usual conviction. The Kellys called last week, Uncle Pete adds casually. They wanted to know if there was truth to rumors about financial troubles while you're posting vacation photos from expensive trips. Dad's face turns crimson. That's nobody else's business. The dining room falls silent again until Natasha's phone buzzes with an incoming text. She glances at it, then looks up with widened eyes. It's from the mortgage company, she says, turning the screen toward our parents. They're threatening foreclosure proceedings. In that moment, watching my father's shoulders slump and my mother's mask finally slip completely, I realize the first major cracks in their facade have appeared. The financial house of cards they've built with my money is beginning to collapse. And for the first time in 18 months, I'm not rushing to prop it up. 2 weeks later, I sit across from my parents at their kitchen table one final time. Dust motes dance in the afternoon light between us, and the space feels different, smaller, less intimidating, stripped of its power to make me feel inadequate. My father slides a piece of paper toward me, his smile looking like it might crack his face. Galina, we've been thinking about your concerns regarding our financial arrangements. My mother nods, her eyes darting nervously to a stack of overdue bills barely concealed beneath a cookbook. Families should acknowledge each other's contributions more openly. We haven't done enough of that with you. The script sounds rehearsed, desperate. I watch their performance with crystalline clarity, Dad's fingers drumming anxiously, Mom's constant glances at the hidden bills. We have a compromise proposal, Mom continues with forced brightness. If you resume mortgage payments, we'll make sure everyone knows how much you contribute. Public recognition. Dad leans forward earnestly. Think carefully about what you're risking here, Galina. Family relationships can't be repaired once they shatter completely. Is this really what you want? Their words hang in the air like smoke, a final attempt to reclaim control over my choices. 2 months ago, I might have folded under this pressure. 2 weeks ago, I might have negotiated some middle ground. Today, I simply open my laptop computer. I've accepted a new position, I say, turning the screen toward them. Senior Software Architect at Meridian Technologies in Seattle. I start in 3 weeks. The color drains from my mother's face like water from a broken dam. Seattle? That's across the entire country. The salary is $127,000, I continue, pulling up the budget spreadsheet I've prepared. That's $31,000. More than I make here in Dallas. Dad leans forward with renewed interest. That's wonderful news, honey, but... And without supporting this household, I interrupt, highlighting a row that makes my heart sing, I'll save approximately $3,400 every single month. My mother's lips compress into something resembling a paper cut. You can't just abandon your family. I've been paying for the privilege of being disrespected and taken for granted, I say, my voice steady as granite. That arrangement ends today. Dad reaches across the table as if to take my hand, but I pull back smoothly. Galina, be reasonable about this. I am being reasonable. For the first time in years. My phone buzzes with a text from Uncle Pete, everyone's here and ready when you are. I have somewhere to be, I announce, closing my laptop with finality. Natasha's celebration dinner starts in an hour. My parents exchange confused glances as they follow me toward the door. The restaurant's private dining room buzzes with conversation as I enter. Uncle Pete reserved the space, and Natasha sits at the head of a long table in an elegant navy dress, surrounded by aunts, uncles, and cousins I haven't seen in months. My parents trail behind me, confusion written across their faces like headlines. What exactly is this about? My mother whispers harshly. I don't answer, making my way directly to Natasha. She looks up with a tentative smile that falters when she sees my expression. Galina? What's happening? I place a wrapped gift box in front of her, the silver paper catching light from the chandelier above. I wanted to give you something important. Something everyone should see. The room gradually quiets as family members sense the shift in atmosphere. Open it, I say loudly enough for everyone to hear. Natasha hesitates before carefully removing the wrapping paper. Inside lies a leather portfolio containing every financial record, receipt, and bank statement from the past 18 months. Here's my real gift to you, I announce to the entire room. The complete truth about who's been supporting your lifestyle. Natasha flips through the pages, her expression shifting from confusion to shock to something approaching horror. It's all documented here, I say quietly. $61,000 over 18 months. Every payment, every transfer, every dollar. She looks up with tears forming in her eyes, then turns toward our parents who stand frozen near the doorway like deer in headlights. How could you let this happen? She asks them, her voice cracking. My mother steps forward. Natasha, this isn't the appropriate place. No, Natasha snaps, holding up a page of transfer records. We're discussing this right here, right now. Uncle Pete stands from his chair. Your sister has been carrying this entire family financially, while being treated like she's somehow less successful than you. Aunt Carol gasps audibly. Margaret, please tell me this isn't true. My mother's face reddens as murmurs spread through the room like wildfire. My father stares at the floor as if willing it to open up and swallow him. Natasha pushes back from the table and walks directly to me, still clutching the portfolio. Her voice drops to an urgent whisper. I never knew the scope of what you were sacrificing for me. A tear slides down her cheek, taking some of her makeup with it. From this moment forward, you live for yourself. Promise me. The room watches in stunned silence as Natasha confronts our parents, demanding the answers I've been seeking for months. I feel something loosen in my chest, a knot of resentment and misplaced obligation beginning to unravel after years of being pulled tight. Later that week, Uncle Pete tells me our parents are considering selling the house. Without my monthly contributions, they simply can't afford the mortgage payments. Part of me wonders if any relationship with them can ever be salvaged, or whether I even want to make that attempt. I'm taping shut moving boxes in my apartment, marking each one with black marker, kitchen, bedroom, books. Seattle awaits, new job, new home, new life built on my own terms. As I wrap dishes in newspaper, I discover a photo album I'd tucked away years ago. Opening it reveals faded pictures of family vacations, holiday gatherings, birthday celebrations, smiling faces that now look like strangers wearing familiar masks. I close the album and place it in a box labeled Undecided. Some chapters of life deserve to end. Others might be worth rewriting entirely. But for the first time in years, that choice is completely mine to make. 6 months later, morning light streams through my Seattle apartment windows, painting my small dining table in warm golden hues. I stare at a notification from my student loan app, balance reduced by another $2,800 this month. No mortgage payments for my parents. No credit card bailouts for Natasha. Just my own financial freedom, one payment at a time. My laptop chimes with an incoming video call. Lillian's familiar face fills the screen, her Dallas apartment visible behind her. Look at you, she says, sipping coffee from an oversized mug. Seattle definitely suits you. You seem different. I straighten my shoulders unconsciously. I closed 3 major contracts this quarter. My team lead says I'm being considered for promotion to senior architect by December. And nobody taking credit for your accomplishments this time, Lillian notes with satisfaction. I laugh, a real laugh that starts deep in my belly and rises without restraint or apology. It's strange, not having to downplay my success to avoid making someone else feel inadequate. What about that hiking group you mentioned? We're planning a weekend trip to Mount Rainier next month. I hesitate, then add, and I've been seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but you're allowing yourself the possibility, Lillian finishes with a knowing smile. That's the real victory right there. Later that evening, I slip into a forest green dress for my company's quarterly celebration dinner. As I adjust my simple gold necklace in the mirror, I notice my reflection, shoulders back, chin lifted, eyes clear and unguarded. The woman who left Dallas 6 months ago would have hunched slightly, making herself smaller, less threatening to fragile egos. The banquet room buzzes with energy when I arrive. My department head waves me over to a table near the front. There she is, she announces to our group. Galina's client satisfaction scores were the highest in the entire company this quarter. The Henderson Group specifically requested her for their next project phase. A round of applause follows. My cheeks warm, but I don't deflect or diminish the praise like I used to. I simply say, thank you. I'm proud of the work our team accomplished. When the woman beside me asks about family, the question doesn't twist my stomach into familiar knots. My parents and I are taking some space to re-evaluate our relationship, I say calmly, my voice steady. My sister and I are working towards something more honest and balanced. No shame colors my words. No elaborate excuses fill the silence. Just truth, simply stated. Sometimes family relationships are complicated, she responds with understanding. Yes, I agree, cutting my salmon with steady hands. And sometimes they're exactly what they appear to be. The weekend brings both Lillian and Uncle Pete to Seattle for a visit. We gather in my small living room, takeout containers scattered across my coffee table like a feast of freedom. Uncle Pete raises his glass of Pinot Noir toward the ceiling. To Galina, he says with genuine pride, who taught this old man it's never too late to choose your real family. Lillian chimes in, lifting her own glass. To building the family you choose, not just accepting the one you were born into. We clink glasses as I absorb their words, feeling the truth of them settle into my bones like medicine I didn't know I needed. The following Tuesday, an unexpected email appears in my inbox. Natasha's name in the sender field makes my finger hover over the delete button, but curiosity wins. I took over Mom and Dad's mortgage payments last month, she writes. They weren't thrilled about the arrangement. Dad actually had the audacity to suggest I ask you to help out, until I get more established in my career. I told him I've been established for 3 years, I just never learned financial independence. That's changing now. The email continues, detailing her struggles with budgeting and taking responsibility for her own expenses. It's harder than I expected, she admits with refreshing honesty, but also more satisfying. I think I finally understand what you were trying to tell me all along. I read the final paragraphs twice, absorbing their meaning. Mom and Dad keep asking about visiting you in Seattle. I told them that decision belongs entirely to you, not them. They don't seem to understand why you won't just let bygones be bygones, as Mom puts it. I'm starting to see how manipulative that sounds. I'd like to visit sometime if you're open to it, just me, not them. I want to see who you're becoming when you're not carrying everyone else's weight. My reply is brief but sincere, not ready for Mom and Dad yet, maybe not ever. But I'd love to show you Seattle in the spring. Come when the cherry blossoms bloom. As I close my laptop that evening, I find myself contemplating the delicate balance between forgiveness and self-protection. Natasha seems genuinely transformed by confronting our family's toxic patterns, but our parents remain unchanged, still expecting me to fund their lifestyle while treating me as lesser. Some people deserve second chances. Others have used up their allotment. Standing at my apartment window, watching the Seattle skyline twinkle like scattered diamonds, I think about the choice every person faces when family becomes toxic. Do you attempt to rebuild relationships with those who've proven unwilling to change, or do you focus your energy on nurturing connections with people who respect your boundaries? For the first time in my adult life, I have the financial freedom to choose. And I choose me.